Man. So, last question for you. I know we're out of time, but got the FIBA World Cup coming up, Paris 2024 Olympics. Do you want to play on that Olympic team? Have you given that some thought?
Man, I mean, obviously, like, I definitely want to. Like, I've talked about playing on USA a couple times, so I definitely want to. It's up to them if they want me to. I mean, I would love to play with guys. And
today we're going to talk about this man right here, Trae Young, otherwise known as Trae Young, a player who has weirdly been snubbed from the Team USA roster in both the Olympics and the FIBA World Cup, even though he's averaged over 25 points and 9 assists throughout his career. A player who was recently voted by his NBA peers as the most overrated player in basketball. A player who has become grossly and unfairly underrated. And today, damn it, we're going to get to the bottom of it. Why has Trae Young become so underrated? I think you can see the direction this is bald-headed in. It's too easy. It is. First things first, let's start with this. I really like Trae Young. In fact, I think he's been a top 20 player each of the last 4 NBA seasons. In my end-of-season top 100 player rankings that I know none of you give a shit about, I had him ranked as the 17th best player in basketball. So where's the disconnect at? Is Trae Young a perfect player? Of course not. His flaws are very well known at this point, and we'll get into those flaws later in the video. But it feels like his flaws and his weaknesses are amplified more than any other player in the league, while his skills and accomplishments go brushed under the lollipop on the rug. And that lollipop on the rug might just be the best playmaker in the NBA, not named Nikola Jokic. Chill out, Denver Nuggets fans. I heard you guys typing on your keyboards from here. Okay? Chill out. According to Basketball Index, Trae Young has finished his first 5 seasons in the league in the 100th percentile, 100th percentile, 100th percentile, 100th percentile, and 100th percentile in playmaking talent. Now, I'm just a stupid little boy, but that sounds pretty damn good to me. This past season, he averaged 34 potential assists per 100 passes, which was by far the most in the NBA. And he does it in a million different ways. He makes every pass there is to make. Skip passes, live dribble, look-off passes, dump-off, touchdown passes, behind-the-back passes. He can do it all. Watching Trae Young play make is one of the most enjoyable viewing experiences there is in the NBA.
He's 660. It's Kuminga, that last basket. And Trae this time breaks it up. From his knees, finds Reddish.
What, four bodies right there.
Absolutely. That's great defense.
Great pass, and Clint lays it in.
Now that's a reliable switch.
There you go.
Over the head pass to Capella.
Collins. Bullseye. Nice pass. Oh, Trae with a bull.
Game 6. Young takes on White. Terrific defender. Collins left open.
Quarter of the half by Detroit. 30 seconds. Hawks could go 2 for 1. Capella and 1. What a beautiful pass and move by Clint Capella.
But the one pass Trae Young does better than probably anybody else in the NBA is the lob, the alley-oop. You know, it's hilarious. If you look at the top 3 lob duos in the NBA this past season, it goes like this. Trae Young, Clint Capella, number 1. Trae Young, John Collins, number 2. Trae Young, Onyeka Okongwu, number 3. Now, that's not just the 3 best lob duos on the Atlanta Hawks. That's the 3 best lob duos in the entire NBA. Trae Young is the passer on the 3 best lob duos in the league. That was pretty nuts to think about.
Closing in on his... Oh, boy, what a pass. And a dunk.
5 ties. Got 6 ties.
Action. Middle pick and roll with Capella. They lob it to him, and he's done.
Defenses has to be center stage at the moment. At time they will break.
Clippers have outscored Atlanta 9-2 here at the end of the quarter. What a touchdown.
Trae. Back to Capella. Hands of Murray. Trae on the backside, lob to Bound. Picked up by Hunter. Trae back to Clint.
Now that leads me to a question. Is Trae Young the best pick and roll ball handler in the NBA? Who am I to say? If you look at his most prominent pick and roll partners, Clint Capella, John Collins, and Okongwu, each player had at least 7 possessions per game last season screening for Trae Young. And on those screens, the Hawks averaged 1.13, 1.14, and 1.17 points per possession, respectively. That's a damn efficient offense. And over the last 4 seasons, Trae Young has been in the 95th percentile or better as a pick and roll ball handler in every season but one. A huge part of what makes him so effective in the pick and roll is not only his passing ability, but his scoring ability, which forces defenses to stay on their toes. Not only is Trae Young graded out as one of the best playmakers over the past half decade, but he's also averaged 27 points per game over the last 4 seasons, which has led to some truly remarkable statistical accomplishments that put him in very rarefied air. For example, in 2022, Trae Young became the first player since Tiny Archibald to lead the league in total points and assists. The first time someone has done that since a player in the league was named Tiny. And guess what? No one seemed to give a shit about it. He was voted 3rd team All-NBA, and that felt like a pity vote. Like, that was like writers being like, okay, I guess we have to put Trae Young on here. How about some other historic company? Trae became only the 3rd player ever to total over 3,000 assists and 8,000 points throughout the first 5 years of his career, joining guys you've probably heard of, Isaiah Thomas and Oscar Robertson. But still, it feels like this is genuinely never talked about on a national stage. Have you ever heard somebody bring this up? Have you ever heard a prominent NBA podcaster or writer talk about this? Like, NBA podcasters and blog boys genuinely hate this guy. They hate his guts. And Ramona Shelburne, even though I just spent the last 38 minutes talking about the Los Angeles Lakers, I'm done. I'm done talking about them. Don't bring them up to me. I'm done speaking about them. Okay? Thanks for coming on. Okay. Trae Young. Listen, Hawks fans are mad because Trae's doing this and that and yada, yada, yada. But can I see him fight over a screen? Can I see him make a shot in the clutch? You're mad that no one talks about Trae Young doing this and that, and you're blaming it all on the media, which I think that's just ridiculous. But the big bad media, that's the big bad media. That's just ridiculous. Chris, I don't know if you saw this or not, but I published a piece on The Ringer talking about how the Atlanta Hawks might want to trade Trae Young, and it turns out the entire thing was total hogwash. Why would the Hawks want to trade Trae Young, Kevin? My son loves Trae Young, and so do all of his friends. Chris, did you see Elon Musk's last tweet? I would like to sniff his chair after he stands up. What the hell? Hot take, I guess. Kyle, you might want to turn the TikTok camera on for this one. Trae Young making All-NBA a little ridiculous. I don't know. Can I see my All-NBA players play a little bit of defense first? I didn't even have him on my ballot, Ryan. I voted Marcus Smart over him. I went back and I looked at my NBA pyramid this morning, and you just can't win the league with a small guard who doesn't play defense. You just can't. So Trae Young is eligible for Supermax extension after making All-NBA. $48 million player option in 27. Have to guess he's picking that up. Not only do you have to worry about the pass when Trae Young is coming off of a screen, but you have to worry about maybe one of the most deadly floaters in the entire NBA. It's become Trae's patented move, and even though it felt like he struggled a little bit this past season with the floater, he still finished 6th in floater field goal percentage amongst players who attempted 200 or more. Yes, that is Nikola Jokic at first with 62%. It's got to be a CIA experiment at this point. There's no way. Just the threat of this floater alone is enough to put Biggs in the torture rack when Trae is coming off of a screen. You can't come up too much to defend the floater, or else Trae's going to throw a lob to Capella or Okongwu. But you can't sag off too much to prevent the oop, because Trae's just going to float it over you. Essentially, you're fucked.
Game. Here comes Young. Floater, got it.
Straight, and now the Wizards hit those 2 free throws by Beal. We're all scoring at 107 as Trae Young.
But be efficient offensively and get some stops defensively. Continue.
6-2 Magic. Trae splits the defenders and kills him with the floater.
Got it. Trae Young breaking the paint. Floater in the lane. He's tied the game. Young goes to work. The floater. And once again, Trae Young delivers. Young, the floater for the lead.
He's in the lineup tonight, and they'll be out for a while. Here's Young. Look at that floater. That's his signature shot.
Of course, you also have the 3-ball to look out for when it comes to Trae Young, and the deep 3-ball at that. Nobody in the NBA this past season attempted more 30-foot-plus shots than Trae Young, and it wasn't really close either. And the crazy thing is, he hit these at a pretty good clip, 35%. Which is solid for a shot as difficult as a 30-foot 3. This is the same percentage as Damian Lillard, who most people would consider the best deep shooter of all time. If you think about it, he's up there. And 11 whole percentage points better than Stephen Curry, the greatest shooter of all time. What the hell was going on in Washington this year? Why was Kyle Kuzma attempting 50 of these shots? Oh, and now you're adding Jordan Poole into the mix too. The Capitol has not seen a terroristic threat this bad since 9/11. Oh, come on! Despite the crazy shooting from deep, Trae has never been a great three-point shooter throughout his career, at least not as good number-wise as I think some people probably think. From his rookie year on, he's shot 32, 36, 36, 38, and 34% from three. Nothing great. In fact, only 2 of these seasons were above league average. But Trae's got something going on quite a bit like Luka Doncic, and no, not the balding thing. They both do have that going on, but that's not what I'm talking about here. They both attempt such difficult three-point shots that even a low three-point percentage is pretty impressive, especially when you compare it to players who just shoot wide open catch-and-shoot threes mostly. And a lot like Luka Doncic, he somehow shoots step-back threes at a higher percentage clip than regular threes. How is this even possible? I just don't get it. I don't understand it.
Trae with a step-back three. Commodores.
Their backcourt is lethal.
Moving back, Trae gets one to go.
Dribbles in. He's going to keep that live dribble. Here he goes. Steps back. Shoots it. Come on.
Quarter. Or in the third. Here's Young from about 30 feet.
A 7-0 burst for Boston. Young, nylon. It's a three.
6% from the floor. Made 8 threes. They make about 10 per game.
Number 9.
Ooh, gets over the screen. Trae backs up. And cooking in the corner. 3. Trae from the logo. Yes.
Trae Young for a deep three. Oh, Trae Young.
That's why, despite his lower three-point percentage, Basketball Index still has him in the 93rd percentile when it comes to perimeter shooting talent. A big reason for that is his 99th percentile three-point shot creation grade, as well as his absurd 4th percentile three-point shot quality grade. He's shooting tough shots. Also consider the fact that at an average of 27.4 feet per three-point shot attempt, only Damian Lillard has a higher average three-point shot distance, aka stats don't tell the full story, you nerd. Why don't you watch the game like a real hooper? So put the playmaking and the scoring together in a pot, mix it up, and I think you're honestly getting one of the 4 best offensive players in the NBA, and a player who can most certainly lead and be the engine of an efficient offense. But what about his flaws? You thought this video was wrapping up? No. This video is just getting started. Let's get to some of the biggest knocks on Trae Young and why I think all of them but one is completely and totally overblown. Let's just get this one out of the way now. Trae Young is a horrible defender. I'm not about to get on here and argue otherwise. The guy's bad, okay? Heading into this past season, you could probably make an argument that he was the worst big minute defender over the last 20 NBA seasons, and you'd probably have a legit case. Like, you'd probably be right. You know, defensive metrics are a lot like puzzle pieces. When you look at each one of them individually, it's really hard to understand what you're looking at. But when you put them all together and form the puzzle, you start to get a better idea of what it is you're seeing. And once you start putting that puzzle together for Trae Young, you realize it's a picture of dog shit sitting on the sidewalk in a hot summer day. And it's been stepped on and dragged around into people's houses. Why would there be a puzzle of this? I don't know. Is there a market for one? If so, let me know. I can make a few calls. I'm trying to sell out sooner rather than later. Guys, times are tough. So let's go over some of the most commonly used defensive metrics. These are the numbers for the first 4 years of Trae Young's career, okay? Starting with estimated plus minus, which is, in my opinion, the best advanced metric there is, but it has its flaws like all of the others. Here's where Trae Young finished among qualified players throughout the first 4 years of his career. 2019, 470th out of 482. 2020, 453rd out of 476. 2021, 419th out of 505. Improvement! 2022, 442nd out of 526. Yeah, not ideal. How about defensive raptor? Here's where Trae ranked among every player who has recorded 1,000 minutes in a season since his rookie year. Okay, you ready for this? 2019, 1,034th out of 1,038. 2020, 1,011th. 2021, 1,026th. 2022, 998th. And if you look at defensive LeBron, Trae Young has 2 of the 7 worst seasons in the history of the database, which goes all the way back to 2010. Essentially, this guy stinks on defense. But what if I told you Trae Young this past season was just bad? Not all-time terrible, not a deformed traffic cone in the middle of the street that's been ran over 300 times. Just plain bad. To below average even. While this might sound like a stupid argument in favor of Trae Young, it's actually pretty remarkable how much of an improvement he made this past season defensively. His defensive estimated plus minus of minus 0.5 placed him in the 48th percentile. Below average. His defensive LeBron was minus 1.9. Bad, sure, but not worse than the history of the database bad. The Hawks, believe it or not, were the exact same defensively this year when Trae Young was on the court versus when he was off. And his defensive Raptor score of minus 0.9 was 173rd out of 250. Better than players like Klay Thompson, Donovan Mitchell, De'Aaron Fox, Pascal Siakam, and his own teammate, good defender, DeJounte Murray. Now, if that makes you think defensive Raptor is a dog shit stat, you would be correct. It's a pretty bad stat. Trae even set a career high in steals, averaging 1.11 per 75 possessions. And this is where I think his biggest improvement came defensively this past season. Is he still a traffic cone? Oh yeah. We saw it in the series against the Celtics where they would relentlessly hunt him on defense, even to a fault at times, as it felt like it messed with the flow of their offense. They were trying so hard to go after Trae Young.
With 3 fouls, off to White, finds the cutter, smart. So he's dangerous regardless if his shot's falling. White connects. White turns and lays. Change with Nate McMillan out, Quinn Snyder in. Team that went to the conference finals 2 seasons ago is White. Pours in another 3.
In transition is not a great.
Hey, you know what? Caught him in stride.
He did.
Able to get it to White. Another chance here for Boston. White to Williams.
However, he's a pesky little traffic cone. Like, yeah, you're still probably going to beat him, but he's going to make you work for it. It's not going to be as easy as it's been in the past. He gambled more. He was much better in passing lanes, forcing steals and deflections. His off-ball defense was better than it's ever been, and it was a low bar to set, but it was better. He even had some clutch plays. Like, this all led to a game in March against the Golden State Warriors where Trae Young won the game for the Hawks with a defensive stand against Steph Curry in the clutch. He's making game-winning plays on defense, ladies and gentlemen.
Great to have you with us on Valley Sports. Steph Curry had it poked away by Trae Young. He'll take it up and in.
Listen, if we're going to spend so much time shitting on Trae Young for how bad he's been defensively, I think it's only right that we acknowledge when he's actually shown pretty remarkable improvements on that end. And going from maybe the worst big-minute defender of the past 20 years to just being bad is a huge step. Even though, again, it sounds stupid to say, it is a big step in the right direction. The defense talk sort of leads me to the next big criticism I see for Trae Young. And this one I very much disagree with, but you see it tossed around from time to time. And that is, he doesn't really make his team better. He puts up good stats, he puts up gaudy stat lines, but he doesn't actually give the Hawks a good chance of winning games. This is lazy. This is wrong. This is stupid. This is an argument people just throw out there when they don't really have much else to argue. Because how do you really quantify it? Except you can quantify it. And it shows how stupid of an argument this is. The Hawks have been a much better team throughout Trae Young's career when he is on the floor. In fact, this past season, their 5-man lineup of Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, and Clint Capella was one of the best 5-man lineups in the entire NBA. They just couldn't stay healthy. That grouping could not stay on the floor. Offensively, the Hawks have looked like an old man with dementia wandering around the forest lost at times when Trae Young is not on the floor. This has been the case since his rookie season. So if someone tries to argue this, I just hand wave it. I just do this. No. Of course, any dismantling of Trae Young is going to include his poorest series against the Miami Heat in the 2022 playoffs. And listen, it was disgusting. It was really bad, okay? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was one of the worst series I have ever seen from a star-level player. He averaged 15.5 points per game, 6 assists per game, 31% from the field, 18% from 3, and 6 turnovers per game. He finished the series with more turnovers than made field goals. But in his defense, that Hawks team was just not very good. Trae Young was the only player on the floor who could run an offense, who you felt comfortable with the ball in his hands. It's a big reason why they went out and got a player like DeJounte Murray the following offseason. And the Heat knew this. I mean, they threw everything at him. They double-teamed him. They triple-teamed him. They blitzed him on pick and rolls. They trapped him at half court. They completely threw him off his game, and Trae Young had some uncharacteristically bad shots, some uncharacteristically stupid turnovers, and he just looked completely and totally demoralized by the end of the series. It was Spoelstra doing Spoelstra things. They dominated them. But now that we have 3 postseasons to work with, this series feels like a complete and total outlier that's somehow been turned into the norm for Trae Young, even though it's not fair at all to him. Like, Trae was really good against the Celtics this past postseason. And since they lost in 6 games, it doesn't really get talked about. But he became only the 5th player ever to average 29 points per game and double-digit assists in a postseason. You know, it's interesting looking at this list. All of these guys lost in the first round. What up, Luka? You'll be getting your own video soon. Don't worry, buddy. Game 5, on the road, in Boston. Celtics have a chance to close out the series. Trae scores 14 straight points in the fourth quarter, including a game-winning 3 that forced the series to 6 games. A series that no one thought would be competitive. A series that everyone thought would just kind of be a little warm-up series for the Celtics. Of course, we didn't know at the time how unbelievably fraudulent this Celtics team was. But still, the point remains. He had a great series. Over the last 4 games, he averaged 34 points per game and 12 assists. That's just insane shit. Again, for a player on a team going up against the higher seed, a team that was the heavy favorites going into the season, he had to do everything to give him a chance, and he did. And then you have the 2021 Eastern Conference Finals run, where Trae Young became only the 3rd player ever, 23 years or younger, to average 28 points per game and 9 assists per game in the playoffs. Luka, you just keep popping up, don't you, buddy? All of this to say, I think most arguments against Trae Young are complete and total hogwash, which is a word that completely disturbs me to my core. I don't even know what it means, but my grandma says it, so I assume it's some old Southern thing. They even have hogwash drinks, which, hey, I'm not a marketing guy. Actually, yes, I am. It's what I do for a real job. And I have to say, this is fucking terrible. Who's going to the store and say, damn it, I need some hogwash? You know, the real reason why I think people are against Trae Young, and this is going to sound insane, but I legitimately do believe it. This is tough to say. It's that people think he's ugly. Yeah. That's just me putting it as bluntly as possible. There's something in psychology called the halo effect theory. What this theory says, essentially, is that if we find someone physically attractive, we're more likely to view them positively in other unrelated aspects, such as their ability as a basketball player. Now, hey, if this sounds stupid to you, I have a homework assignment for you, okay? I want you to go to Twitter, and I want you to search the word aura. Go ahead. Put it in your Twitter search bar. You'll find that it's mostly NBA Twitter accounts using the word aura to describe their favorite player. Oh my God, his aura is unmatched. Oh my God, elite aura. Oh my God, best aura in the league. And when you see somebody calling someone's aura elite, essentially what that person is trying to say is, I would like to fuck this player. I would like to have sex with this person. Which, hey, there's nothing wrong with, but I think we just need to call it for what it is. There's one easy way Trae Young can fix this. Yep. Trae, it's time. Embrace your destiny as the next great bald player in the NBA. Join the ranks of Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James sometimes, Kevin Garnett, Shaquille O'Neal, Popeye Jones, Gary Payton, Cody Zeller. It's time. Ever since I shaved my head, I can see into dimensions never seen before. I see a dimension where Slightly Biased has 25 million YouTube subscribers, and he's preparing for his 2032 presidency run, where he will destroy every 8-lane superhighway there is in the United States of America. What a beautiful country we live in. Slightly. Subscribe.